Hi everyone, it's Aster, and today's lesson is going to be about writing and why writing is so important. And it seems kind of silly because in this day and age where we can type things, we have text-to-speech programs, or speech-to-text programs, I should say, AI to generate thought. Why write? Why use pencil and paper? Why use pen and paper? Why do calligraphy? Why do cursive? So there's a lot of layers to this. And let's start with well, what is writing? What is language, right? At its core, it's a tool for communication. Just like speaking is a tool for communication. Just like these videos are a tool for communication. Writing is an incredibly powerful way to get an idea across. And not just to other people, but to communicate with yourself. Many years ago now, my friend Janelle, who was my therapist at the time, gave me this journal, which has been well loved. And in about, what's the start date here? 5/10/19, so 2019 to 2021, so in about 2 years, I filled up every single page of this journal, handwritten. And this was to work through my thoughts and my emotions and to figure out what was going on inside my head. Because it can be chaotic in there sometimes and you don't really know. So I'm writing for myself. And handwriting is powerful because it engages your hand and your brain at the same time in a way that typing or just talking does not. And so this can be useful for a lot of things. One, handwriting stuff is a great way to channel emotion. So if you're feeling a lot and you don't know what to do with it, just write out what you're feeling or write something that is inspired by what you're feeling. So most of my journal is filled with poetry. This is similar to painting out your feelings, right? Or drawing out your feelings. It is a channel for your emotion expression of self. It also helps you remember things better because you are engaging all the muscles and the nerves required to do the physical act of writing, and you're engaging an additional part of your brain than when you're just thinking or you're just reading, because you are creating something else in the world. You will remember things better. So I learned in high school that if I have a computer in front of me, I will not pay attention in class. I will play video games. And I won't remember things very well. But if I have a notebook in front of me, a lot of the times I could sit, listen to the lecture, take notes on the lecture, and that was all the studying I needed to do for the test, right? It was because the act of writing something down helped me remember it. So now when I want to remember things, I write them down. And it's not, if you forget the thing, you can go look at what you wrote down. But also just the act of writing it down makes it so I'm less likely to forget because I have engaged in this extra process to reinforce the pathways of that memory within my brain. So, about handwriting. I have really messy handwriting. Let me see if I can find something. Yeah, so if you look, I don't know if that's in focus. It's not really in focus, but you can tell that's pretty sloppy handwriting, right? I almost got held back because of it, which I think is very silly. And I hated practicing my handwriting, right? Where you have the sheets and they say draw the same letter over and over and over and over again. That was a nightmare. But I did want my handwriting to be better so I could read it, right? Because again, writing is a tool for communication. So as long as it's fulfilling that purpose, you're good. So the reason you want nice handwriting isn't because it looks pretty. I mean, it's because you want it to be an effective tool, right? So if you have an idea you want to share with with someone, you want them to be able to understand the symbols you're using to express that idea. And so what I did to practice my handwriting was I would, do my usual writing, right? I'd be writing in my journal, and I would notice like, oh, that H is sloppy, or oh, that O is sloppy, or like that N is sloppy. My A's sometimes look like U's because I cut off the top of the A when I'm drawing it, right? And so I would focus on that and be like, okay, the next A I write, right? I'm going to make sure it's a nice A. And I would do that repeated over and over and over, but I would incorporate it into part of my normal writing. I wouldn't just sit down and be like, I'm going to just draw A's today, because that's boring. But so it's to tie this into our previous lesson about asking why. It's a similar process of like noticing something and then like digging deeper into it, like going down the layers, right? So it's I'm doing something. I notice the layer of my handwriting is sloppy. I'm gonna make some corrections and then go back, and like iterate this process, and then my handwriting will improve. So especially for you, I think, because like I didn't like writing. I mean, I've always loved to write. I'm a storyteller. I love to create things. I love to make art, but I didn't like writing for school because it was felt very restrictive, and it felt like the teacher wanted something specific, right? So the most important thing you can do when you're writing is you write for yourself, right? Because all art, all communication really is self-expression, right? So the audience should be you. You write stuff that you want to read. You write stuff that speaks to you. You write stuff that is a reflection of what you are feeling, what you are thinking. And this can not just in an artistic sense, but also in an academic sense. Like if you're writing a paper about history, what is your interpretation of that history? What is your understanding of that history? Don't just regurgitate, what you've read. Think about it a bit and be like, this is what it means to me. And I think you'll find writing is much more engaging when you do that, versus just the go find a bunch of quotes and put them in a five paragraph paper for me. I don't know if you guys started doing that. This kind of starts like upper middle school, high school. You have to start writing papers like that usually. And, it's also really important for things like the scientific method. So recording things, like taking a video of something's really good, taking pictures is really good, but also being able to channel your thoughts and write it down in a piece of paper is a record. It is a material document of what's been going on and what you've observed and what you've learned. And that's not just useful for yourself to go look back on and, excuse me, and like remember what you were doing, but then also you can like show it to other people, and like it's like it's recording the answers to why, right? And like we talked about, like going and finding your answers to your why questions, and then you can write stuff about it, and that's your answer. Now whenever someone else has that question, if you come across someone else asking that similar why, you can be like, look, this is what I found. These are my thoughts on the matter, and you have this document to do that. Going back to a bit what I said earlier about like the point of this is communication and self-expression. So as long as whatever you're doing can accomplish that task, nothing else matters. Your handwriting, it's okay if it's sloppy as long as it can be understood, right? Bad spelling can be, people hound you about your spelling, but as long as they can tell what word you're trying to use, it's generally fine, right? Same with grammar. This should probably be a separate lesson, but I'm going to just say a little bit on grammar, which is like grammar is there to help understand the writing better, right? Like with your punctuation, your spelling, your word order, your sentence construction is about making it, making it easier for other people to understand. But as long as they can understand, like your grammar doesn't have to be perfect, especially when you're doing stuff for yourself. Like if you're doing self-expressive work, as long as you understand what is happening, that is the most important part. And then when you are ready to present ideas to other people and other groups, then you want to like kind of look at their standards and their interpretation of things and be like, okay, I have to clean up my grammar, I have to change my formatting, or maybe I have to like really focus and make my handwriting a little bit neater because they can't read my handwriting. And just so you're able to like effectively fulfill that goal of communicating an idea. So this is my follow-up work for all of you guys, which is to write something with your hand. It can be a poem, a story. You can be like taking notes on something you want to remember or that you're interested in learning about, or if you're still doing the asking why questions, write about that. Write down your answers. Write down what you find. And then I will very soon be sending out invite links to a Discord server where you can take a picture of what you have written and we can post it in the Discord server and share it. So we're using this writing for both self-expression and for communication. And I hope that makes sense. Yeah, that's my thoughts on writing right now. Love one another, love yourself, and have a good day. Bye.